All right, so welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be kind of a review of somebody who actively went through the comprehensible input method, specifically for the Thai language. So I studied using comprehensible input Thai for a little bit over a year now. I'm not there yet, about 1,000 hours. So I'm right above, I think it's like 800, mid 800 hours right now. And I just want to give a review for anybody who's out there thinking about using this method. You know, somebody who actually did it this far. What are my thoughts and some things you might want to consider if you're thinking about using this method to start pretty much any language? And the biggest one that nobody talks about, but every single person I've met who hasn't seen me since I started this comprehensible input journey, you know, I did move down to South Florida. There's a lot of great restaurants, but it wasn't until I started comprehensible input that I've gained so much weight. And this goes back to the method itself. And what if you go on Reddit and you'll go in there and people will say you need to be like in this like zombie-like state where you're just kind of focused on the content, but you're sitting still, you're not moving, you're not fidgeting. And think about this, you're not moving and you're doing this for hours and hours and hours every single day. So I'm gonna put a picture on my screen what I look like before comprehensible input. So this is after where I moved to South Florida. I've already started eating a lot of new restaurants down here, but it's the lack of moving. You know, you're sitting down for so many hours. I went from about 180 pounds to the max was right around like 212. So I think that's about, 40 pounds or something, like some crazy number. It's getting there. So that's a lot of weight, and that's really, really bad for your health. And if you saw my last video, my mother recently passed away at a relatively younger age. And this made me start thinking a lot more about my own health and made me start realizing that something has got to change. And, sitting down for hours and hours is something I'm definitely trying to change. I actually built out this gym that you can see behind me. And I'm starting to work out, almost about every day now. I got the hex lighting, LEDs installed, and I've been enjoying it thus far. But this is my biggest gripe. If you're going to start this comprehensible input journey and your diet is the same, you're naturally going to start gaining weight like crazy. If you're not moving out of nowhere for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day, you're definitely going to start gaining weight unless you start cutting back. But I am naturally a foodie. I love eating, and we're going to get a little bit more into this later, but if you're using comprehensible input, you're going to be watching people eating a lot. So they're trying food that I've never had before. Like, it wasn't until I started comprehensible input that I found this thing called the boat noodle soup and all these other like different types of Thai dishes I've never heard of before. So I wanted to try them. So I'm over here now increasing my diet on top of not moving much. And that drastically affected my health. And it could possibly affect yours as well. So if you're already overweight and you're thinking about doing this method, you might want to start lowering your calories now, or see if you can do this while you're on a treadmill or adjust your lifestyle so you're just not gaining 40 something pounds over the course of a year or so. Number 2 thing that, reflecting back on the comprehensible input method, it didn't really hit me until my mother-in-law flew into the airport, and we're messaging on this app that's really popular in Thailand called Line. And she just messaged me something simple like, I've landed, If she would have said this in Thai, I would have immediately understood exactly what she is saying, right? So if she would have told me this, I would understand. And that wouldn't have been a problem. The problem came from that, guys, if you're using comprehensible input only, you can't read or write Thai. It's a different alphabet. I had no idea what she messaged me. I didn't know. So before I ran into her, I had to use Google Translate. So after, over a year, I'm still using Google Translate for simple sentences in Thai because I can't read or write. We're going to get a little bit more into that later about how do I feel about this level currently, but it's just something to be aware of. If this is your primary method, you're not going to be able to read and write simple sentences in Thai unless you really start integrating that from the beginning. I do plan on integrating more things, and we have future videos on those to fill in gaps at my current level. But if you're waiting for 1,000, 2,000 hours as another YouTuber posted that they're going to wait before they start reading and writing, you're going to have this massive gap of what you're capable of listening, speaking, until you start reading. It's just something to be aware of. Number 3 thing that you got to be aware of if you're starting to use this comprehensible input method to start learning Thai is that you're going to be spending a lot of time consuming content that's basically geared towards beginners. And that would be very babyish, like Peppa the Pig or cartoons or easy content that's very surface level. And you're not really learning too much. If you were like me before the learning Thai, I was always learning things on YouTube, how to do things, just general knowledge things. I was always like a history person. I like to know what happened during this war and everything, but it really went back down on the educational content, and I missed out on a lot of interesting things. Also, that time could be spent, making more money, getting in shape, pursuing another passion, even another language. And what really got me thinking is that I spent so much time consuming content of people traveling, going outside, and then exercising. And I'm literally stuck inside consuming content, watching other people enjoy life. And it's just something to be aware of. At a certain point, you're like, wow, I really want to go on a trip. But if I go on a trip, I may be lacking on my comprehensible input. And this could affect my learning. So a little story, I went to a wedding in Michigan in northern United States. And mostly during the time, I was still trying to get my comprehensible input hours in. On the airplane, I had headphones on. I was trying to listen to Thai. When I had downtime, I was trying to fit that Thai language learning. And I could have just enjoyed the trip, but I was so focused on learning Thai that I didn't get to enjoy as much as I could have and just enjoyed what was in front of me because I was so worried about getting my 3 hours a day, even while I was traveling. So, you only have so many hours per day. And if you're using this method, just be aware that if you're very obsessive like I can be, you're going to want to try and hit your targets and you're going to be running into time management issues if you're like me. Another thing that really changed during the course of using comprehensible input is the type of materials or content that I enjoy watching. So before I started comprehensible input, right, I was like any typical American guy. Like I loved action movies. I love Marvel movies, the old Batman movies, Christopher Nolan movies. I still do. But I think a lot of the content that I gravitate towards now has really been, changed just from the amount of content and I don't want to say propaganda, but when you watch something so many times, I can completely see now why people start falling in line and all liking the same things more now because things that I had no interest in, especially Thai comedy. I always thought this is very slap your knee type comedy. I now find it funny. Content that before I thought was stupid, I actually enjoy a little bit now. So my perspective of what I actually like watching has drastically changed just from the amount of content I watch. It's definitely changed me as a person with my preference and tastes. And I'm actually listening to Thai music now, and I was a big hip hop fan. If you're into hip hop, it's very aggressive. I would say aggressive. Thai music tends not to be that aggressive, and it changes you. You're spending hours and hours watching content inside of a language and a culture that's different than yours. So it's definitely going to affect the way you see the world, how you see things. And I wasn't quite ready for that. And people definitely notice, because if you're in the car with me, you'll probably be listening to Thai music now, or something much softer than aggressive hip hop music, if you get what I'm saying. I also see why the Thai culture has certain beauty preferences. I'm struggling talking right now. I don't know why, but I'm really struggling talking. It might be because there's a cold front coming to South Florida, and it's going to be getting to like 31 degrees here in South Florida, and it's very cold in my garage, and I'm not quite used to filming again yet. That's why I'm taking these videos pretty slowly. Yeah, so the beauty standards of Thais is very different than in America, and just watching the content over and over, when you see the most beautiful girl in the video looks a certain way, and other people from that look different behave badly and stuff like that, it definitely changes your perception of beauty standards. And I thought that was very, very interesting indeed. Another thing that really changed on me is they have the content in Thai that's very popular right now. It's called GL content, where just to say very simply, two girls fall in love somehow together. And I think it's because of Netflix in America. They always make these stories feel kind of forced. These type of stories feel awkwardly placed, where I've always hated this type of content. I've never liked this type of content. I never thought I would ever watch this style of content. But in the Thai perspective, and the way they film some of these series are completely for free on YouTube, it's just very engaging. It's very different. It doesn't feel forced like you would see something on Netflix. If you get what I'm saying, I don't know why. It just feels so forced. And it's not funny. It's not interesting. But in the Thai way, and with their type of content and the Thai lens, it comes off as artful. It comes off as beautiful and natural, where I can enjoy watching this type of content. Another thing that is a result of spending, a good portion of the year using comprehensible input is changing the way you see Thailand in general. So before this comprehensible input method, I always thought of Thailand as like a very jungle, tropical paradise that's very untamed and raw. Because every time I went to go travel there, and what you see online sometimes is very different from the Thai lens. And it makes you see Thailand in general, and its culture and its history, in a very different light. And I think that's very eye-opening. For an example, when I studied, say, Russian or French or any other culture, you kind of just stick, or not culture, but language, you kind of stick with the language and not the culture as much. You might get like a page or two, but with comprehensible input, you're kind of like forced right into it. Like, this is how the Thai society sees things. This is how they see their neighboring countries. This is how they see, pretty much everything. Their ideas of how people interact and work together and talk out things. It made me see Thai people and the Thai country in such a different light, and helps me understand them so much more because of comprehensible input. It's just seeing them in what they think is Thai society. And you wouldn't get that, say, if you watch an American film that's going to Thailand, it's wild, dangerous, adventurous. It's really not like that over there. In their own perspective, they have their own humor and everything. It's just, you get to see Thailand in a very different perspective than you would just studying your Teach Yourself book or any of these little beginner Thai books. There's no way I would have understood or understand a lot of the things in Thai society and Thai culture like I would now if it wasn't for comprehensible input. Now, reflecting back, so I've been using comprehensible input to study Thai. What do I think my level is at right now? To put in perspective, I have a 4-year-old daughter who turns 5 next month, and her level, my wife speaks Thai to her, is very, very low. To be quite honest, her level is, she can understand some things in Thai. She can barely speak anything. And I think that just comes from the amount of exposure to the language. My wife speaks to her in Thai each day, but if you're spending 3 hours nothing in engaging content in Thai and you're really trying to learn it, it definitely has a big gap there. My wife also speaks English. I speak English at the house as well. So for my daughter and my level, I'm definitely much greater, especially now since grandma is here. I can see them interact and what she can actually understand from grandma. I think it shows a lot more of a difference. I have friends who have kids around 7 where the wife only speaks Thai. She barely speaks English. And reflecting back, those kids, I would say, understand quite a bit. They cannot speak as much because the fathers usually speak English to them. I would say the level that I'm at now for everyday tasks, there are always gonna be things that kids are less exposed to than adults, but I would say that the level I'm at is kind of like a young child, say 7 to 11, who has been exposed to a lot of Thai from growing up from parents and can use Thai. We're gonna get a little bit more into that later, but that's what it kind of feels like right now. Like my level is kind of a young kid in a bilingual family. And this will get back to the narrative around comprehensible input. Do I feel like a native speaker? No, there's absolutely no way I feel like a native speaker. But I would say I feel like a speaker who came from a bilingual family. Maybe like a heritage learner where they spoke both languages in the house and, they might have a dominant language, but I can definitely feel that my Thai ability for everyday tasks, just to put in perspective so you kind of know where I'm standing right now. So Thai mother-in-law comes to visit. I'm able to speak to her about pretty much everyday tasks, showing her around the house, all in Thai. Talking about my day, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to work, what's my daughter gonna do, we're gonna go to school, we're gonna study. What am I doing in the future, what we're gonna do, asking her to go places, what does she like, and basic conversations. Like the first day, the next day, because the first day we were all exhausted. We had like an hour-long conversation with myself, my wife, and my Thai mother-in-law, completely in Thai, where I was involved in the conversation. I wasn't just a bystander. My daughter was completely lost, obviously, but I would say right now I feel like a heritage learner. Like I can engage with the language. There's definitely gaps that I see. It's kind of like a kid that, doesn't know all the words, so they kind of mix their like Thai with English. What I notice with a lot of the kids, and that's pretty much what I feel like right now. I do realize I do struggle with a lot of introspective concepts. So I was trying to explain why my daughter is so brave going out in the cold without her jacket on this morning, just for a little bit. But I was trying to explain to my mother-in-law in Thai about why she was brave, because this is a historic Arctic blast coming down to South Florida that hasn't been seen in over 40 years. And there's some parts in there I really struggle with, like Arctic blast. I had no idea about the words in Thai for that. And just trying to explain the right words for bravery and courage, seen in my 4-year-old, I was kind of get lost for words. I think a lot of those concepts in Thai, they kind of use compound words. Where if I heard it passively, I would understand. I would understand exactly what they mean. But active vocabulary, kind of like a heritage learner, I feel like my passive vocabulary is fairly large. My active vocabulary, I can see the gaps. Definitely see the gaps. The more non-physical or non-everyday the words come, I see the gaps there and I can feel them on speaking Thai. Now, I've been talking to my in-laws in Thailand as well, on the app called Line, and they're video calls. And I was actually able to joke with the family members. I was able to tell the joke. They laughed. They understood me. We weren't having issues where I had to repeat myself. And I think that was pretty good. I hear a lot of people have issues with their accent, and I didn't have any issues communicating with them. They understood me. I understood them. And we were able to communicate. Yeah, I don't have perfect Thai, but if you look in the perspective of somebody who's a heritage learner, like I was trying to hint at, that's where I kind of feel like the level you could get at for any reasonable person who wants to really dedicate a year or two to comprehensible input. What they could possibly achieve is get into a level where they can understand a lot of content, enjoy Thai content, interact with your in-laws. If you're married to a Thai wife, like a lot of people probably watching this channel, or they have a Thai girlfriend, they want to try to communicate with her family. I feel like a good 1,000 hours would definitely get you there. If you really, really dedicate yourself to it, a comprehensible input, and use it smartly, and not just randomly watch things. That's why I try to put the playlist of what I'm currently watching. I find a lot of the content is pretty engaging, what I include on there for a lot of people who may be watching my channel. Go check out the playlist if you want to watch what I've watched previously. But I would say in the future, some of my goals are just to work on speaking more. So I had my mother-in-law here for over a month, and I'm going to be working on speaking and trying to fill in those gaps where I feel uncertain. I would say after all these hours of comprehensible input, I have a pretty decent monitor. So I know when I say something incorrectly, and then I go back and they'll kind of like just say it again. So they'll say it for me. And I feel like over time, repetition is going to really knock in those rough spots in my Thai. And I'll gradually introduce Thai speaking videos on this channel. So stay tuned towards that, for that as well. And that's where we are now. Do I see myself like some other learners spend another 1,000 hours on comprehensible input where I'm over 2,000 hours? No, I definitely do not see myself getting anywhere near 2,000 hours anytime soon. One, I'm gonna be focusing a lot more on my health. I'm gonna keep consuming Thai content, but just for enjoyment, you know? Like I'm gonna gradually creep past 1,000 hours and just keep, tracking, but I'm not gonna try to force myself. I'm just gonna try to enjoy the language as much as possible. And hopefully this channel helps motivate you, where you don't feel like you're forced to watch 3,000 to 4,000 hours of comprehensible input in order to start enjoying the language. I don't think that's true. I think you can get a very decent base of the language. I feel very confident at my current level. I feel like I can communicate as a child, but a child can communicate quite a bit to their parents. So take that with a grain of salt. I hope you continue your Thai learning journey. If you have any questions, concerns, again, I'm not an expert in language learning. I'm just on the Thai language journey like everybody else on my channel. And I hope you and your family do well in this coming year, and take care.